Okay, we are on middle of Perek Mem Aleph. Okay, in the bottom it's page 210. On the top it's Nun Zayin. Okay, we're going to start the middle of the page, smack in the middle of the page, at the, as they call it, the two dots. Now, the Rebbe in Perek Mem Aleph is explaining the importance of Yira, of fear. And he said because the Jew has to do a Avodah of an Eved. Why does the Jew have to be an Eved? Because like we explained at great length last week, what the Rebbe explains in Likutei Torah, that Eved normally is to fulfill the needs of the master, that the master doesn't do on his own. Even though how do we do that by Hashem? Hashem has everything, he doesn't need us. But the answer, Hashem wants us to create a dwelling place for Hashem. So therefore, the avodah of tanning the hide is again because the need that Hashem has that we should create a dwelling place for him down here is because he wants it. But once he wants it, there's a need that Hashem has that Jews, only Jews in the body, can fulfill that need of creating the dira b'tachteinu. And he's explaining that just like you need the ben and you need eved, you need the two wings to fly, you need fear, but the primary thing now that Rebbe says is fear. Why? Because ahava, I love. It's me. It's still an I there. Bit yira is awe and bittul. So now he says like this. So now the question is like this. If the ultimate purpose is to fear Hashem, what happens if we can't? We can't. We just don't have the capabilities of doing it. And he says like this. Even somebody in his mind and his thought. He doesn't fear this fear and awe. Because of the lowness of the origin of the soul. From the place it was carved out from. In the lowest places of Yud Sfiras of Asiyah. Without ever says like this. There's certain neshamas that come from Atzilus, certain neshamas from Bria, certain neshamas from Yitzira, certain neshamas from Asiyah. Asiyah are the lowest of neshamas that, yes, they're part of God, but they don't feel or sense anything. He said, what happens if this person's neshama comes from that level of Asiyah? But how can you say he has this level of fear if he doesn't feel it? He says like this, Afo PK. And don't forget, the book of Tanya is to show, as Alter Rebbe says, how close and easy it is for every single Jew, no matter who you are, to be connected to Hashem. He says like this, Alpha PK. He might not have this open felt fear and awe of Hashem, but he's doing it. Ask him, why are you doing it? Because Hashem wants me to do it. I'm serving God. Do you feel a felt awe and fear? No. But the bottom line out there says, why are you doing it? Because you want to serve Hashem. He says, it's called a full Aveda. It's not a lofty full Aveda, but it's still the mitzvah of fearing Hashem, even if the only reason why I'm doing it is not because I have this open fear and awe of Hashem. I'm doing it because this is what Hashem wants me to do. And Kabbalah says, I accept the yoke. That's it. Because Yiras Hashem and Avodah, serving Hashem, are two separate mitzvahs in the Tayag mitzvahs. There's one mitzvah of the Yiras Hashem, and there is one mitzvah li'avdai, to serve Hashem. It's two different mitzvahs. And they don't stop one another. So the Alter Rebbe again is making it easier. The Alter Rebbe is saying in this chapter how important it is for a person to have fear of Hashem. Ideally, an open awe. That's like we learned about love. Ideally, You're supposed to have this open love. I really love Hashem. I want to be connected to him. But the Alter Rebbe explained before that even if you don't have that open love, but I still do it because I want to connect to Hashem, it's also good. The same thing with yira, fear. Fear ultimately is the key to connection with Hashem. Being bottle and eved, a servant, a slave to Hashem, that connects us to Hashem. He says, Ba'ed in the second aspect, Shebe'emes mekayim gam mitzvahs yira. You even get the mitzvah of yira, even though normally, as somebody, where is awe and fear and love supposed to be? It's supposed to be in the heart. Intellect is in the head. Remember, we learned, you meditate, that creates a love and fear of Hashem in the heart. Okay, so he says, number one, it's still good. Secondly, he says, you fulfill the mitzvah of yira, even though it's only you're thinking it, you don't feel it in the heart. It didn't permeate the heart yet. It's only I'm thinking about the awesomeness of Hashem. That itself is good. Why? Because at this second, when he thinks, he doesn't feel it. But he thinks this level of fear of Hashem, Murder Shemayim Olav. He fears Hashem, Al Kaponim Kameda Bosiv Adam. Like the fear of a person, Hedyet Lepacha She'ena Melech, even if he's not a king. Hamabit Olav. Okay, let me explain this thing outside. The Rabbi says Alter Rebbe is going to quote it in 3 lines. Rabbi Yechim ben Zakkai, the famous Rabbi Yechim ben Zakkai, is on his deathbed. And his student said to him, give us a piece of advice for life. He said to them like this, Yehirotze me'ebid the will of Hashem, She'ameda Shemayim, you should fear God like you fear a human being. That's what Rabbi Yechim ben Zakkai. Yemeda Shemayim Aleichem Kameda Basav, not a king. Kameda Basav Adam, like the fear of a person. The students were shocked. They said, that's it? We should fear Hashem as much as we fear a person? Obviously, we should fear much more. So that Rabbi Yechim ben Zakkai said to them, Halavai. Halavai. It should only be. And he explained why. If somebody's watching you, you're not going to commit a crime, even if it's not a king. You're not going to steal if people are watching you. You're not going to do something wrong if somebody is watching you. You just don't. Why? I fear the person. Maybe he'll snitch. He'll do whatever. Rabbi Yechim ben Zakkai said, if somebody is watching you, you're not going to sin. He says, at least fear Hashem and the realization that God is present and he's watching whatever you do. That's what he told me. This is not, Alter Rebbe is explaining, this is not a felt awe and fear from the awesomeness of God. This is a simple, meditate, even kids, little kids that they're not mature yet. They won't do something wrong. They won't steal from a store if they know somebody's watching them. It's not an open awe and fear of the awesomeness of Hashem. Rabbi Yechim ben Zakkai basically said to them, like Alter Rebbe said before, Hine Hashem nitzav olav u'mleicha u'mabit olav. Hashem is standing over us and looking at you. Rabbi Yechim ben Zakkai said, Halavai. They tell a story. There was a wagon driver was taking a great rabbi somewhere. And they passed through a beautiful orchard. And the wagon driver wasn't such a great person, obviously. And he wanted to steal some of the luscious fruit in the orchard. He stopped the wagon And he told the rabbi, I want you to be my thing. I want you to, what do you call it in English? To watch if anybody's looking. So the rabbi said, okay. The balagar, the wagon driver went down. He's about to take a fruit from the tree. The rabbi screamed out in Yiddish, Mizat, Mizat, they're watching, they're watching. The guy right away ran back to the wagon. He was scared. He didn't take anything. He's looking around. There's nobody there. He said to the rabbi, what do you mean nobody? There was nobody there. He said, what do you mean? God was watching. You told me I should watch to see if anybody's looking. Hashem is looking. This is what Rabbi Yechon Mezaki said to his students. Fear Hashem. So that Rebbe is saying now we can see it inside. Because when a person, the Shavet Egezu Akopani, when a person just intellectually thinks, God is great, I don't want to rebel against him. Al Kaponim made a Shemayim, all of the fear of heaven is on this person, Al Kaponim at least. Made a boss of Adam, like the fear of a human being. Head yet lepachas, even a simple person. She'eina melech hamabitolah. It's not like even if a king is not looking. It's a simple person looking. Shem nimna ba'avure, because that person is watching. The person will hold back. Milah says davar she'eina hogam be'enov, to do something improper in his eyes. So what? And he says, this is called yira, this is called fear of Hashem. If a person doesn't want it, I'll give you a simple example. A Jew is walking, there's nobody around, yeah? There's a non-kosher store. What's stopping the Jew? I'm not talking about holy Jews. A simple Jew that keeps mitzvahs, yeah? What's stopping him? Nobody's watching officially, you know what I mean? What's stopping him from going into a non-kosher store and buy some non-kosher meat or cake or whatever? What's stopping him? I'm not talking about great people. I'm talking about a simple Jew. You know what's stopping him? Hashem. At that moment, does he have the awesomeness fear of Hashem? No. But the fear that he has in his mind, in his thought even, it's not even intellectual, in his thought, Alter Rebbe says, that fear is enough to stop him from sinning. The Alter Rebbe said that's called fear. And now he says, like Rabbi Yechon Zaki told the students, when they asked him, give us advice before you die, you're not saying, may it be the will of Hashem, that you should have the fear of God, like the fear of a person. And he explained, you should know. When a person does something wrong, what do they think in their mind? I hope nobody watched me, nobody saw me. I hope nobody saw me. The world says an interesting thing. You want to know the true test, the true test of a religious Jew. Sometimes a person would be hesitant to do something because who knows, maybe somebody will see him do it or her do it. Okay? Hypothetically, if a person would be stranded on an island, nobody around, no satellites, no cameras, no nothing, there's no way in the world somebody will catch him from doing something. Will he still be a religious Jew or not? That is the true test of a religious Jew. The true test of a religious Jew, meaning a person that fears Hashem, loves Hashem, wants to do mitzvahs. The ultimate test is not when you're in a society when everybody's watching what you do. What's the big deal? Of course. You're not going to sin. You're not going to eat trape in front of all your friends that are from. And it could be you go in this shtetl somewhere in a far out place. Who knows? Just like you ended up there, you think maybe another Jew is there. They'll see me. How many times do people go to places and they bump into friends that they never expected they'll see in that place? So Dr. Rebbe is saying over here, what is fear of Hashem? You fear Hashem like you fear another person. Just pick, not, of course, Hashem is infinitely greater. When I'm about to do something wrong, think to yourself. And the Alter Rebbe said this is full level of yira, not the highest level, but it's full yira. It's the wing that makes you fly up. Hashem is watching me now. If I know a person is watching me, would I do it? No, then you're not going to do it. This fear of, like he said, maybe like it's not like picture Hashem like another person. Nikras yira tata. That's called the lower level of fear, the yiras chet, and the fear of sin, shekidemis lechachmasa, which is before chachma. The yiras ilah, and I'll explain this. And there's a higher level of yira, which is yira beishis, fear of embarrassment. I mean like this. It says in Pirkei Avos, Imein yira ein chachma. If there's no fear, there's no chachma, wisdom. If there's no wisdom, there's no fear. So obviously, all the commentaries ask, which is the chicken, what's the egg? I mean, no fear, no chachma, no fear. So, how does it work? So here the Alter Rebbe is answering it, but this is a common answer the Mepharshim say. There's a lower level of fear that brings to wisdom. And then there's a level of wisdom that brings you to a higher level of fear. So it starts off im ein yira, ein chachma. You can't have wisdom if you don't start off with a low level of fear. And that's what the Rebbe says over here. This is called the lower level of fear that comes before chachma, before wisdom. This fear of Hashem, meaning the recognition that Hashem is somebody watching me, that brings a person to understanding. Now you understand God greater, that brings you to a higher level of fear. And the Alter Rebbe here calls it yira beishis, the fear of shame. And I'll explain in a minute. He says the is yira, the is yira. Okay, there's fear and there's fear. Again, in Chazal, they tell us there are different levels of fear. Okay? A little kid, I'm just saying general example, there's millions of different levels. A little kid is afraid to do something wrong because he'll get punished. It's called yiras chet. What's the sin? It's yiras ha'inish, really. It's called the fear of punishment. He's not afraid to do the sin. He's afraid of punishment. Like you ever hear people say, oh, if I desecrate Shabbos, will lightning come out from the sky and zap me? That's called fear of punishment. It's a very low level of fear. Then you have a higher level of fear. I don't want to rebel against Hashem. I don't want to do what he doesn't want me to do. Then there's even a higher level of fear. It's called yiras beishis. I'm embarrassed to do something Hashem doesn't want me to do. It's a much higher level than fear. Even than the second level of fear, I don't want Hashem. Hashem is watching me. I don't want to rebel against him. Yiras beishis is what the Alter Rebbe is calling yira ilah, which comes through chachma, through understanding. You reach a level awesomeness of Hashem, that you reach a level of you feel God's presence to such an extent, I'm embarrassed to do something against him. It's not because I don't want to rebel against him. I'm just embarrassed I'm embarrassed to disconnect myself from Hashem. That's the highest level of yira. The same thing you have in a more practical level. There's a mitzvah of honoring your parents. There's a mitzvah ish imei vav tiro. You have to fear your parents. Awe, fear, respect. The Gemara says, what is honoring parents? You feed them, you clothe them, you take care of them. What does fear of parents mean in halacha? But on Shulchan Aruch, in the Gemara, What does fear of parents mean? You don't sit in their seat. You don't call them by their first name. You don't contradict their words. You give respect. Now, an adult child who has that respect and awe, it's called fear, awe of a parent, is not going to sit in the parent's seat, in the parent's chair, because the father or mother are going to patch him. That's not the reason. And the real thing is, even if the parents are not home, he wouldn't even sit in the parent's chair. Was he afraid? He won't even know. He's afraid of what? They're going to punish him. That level of fear and awe means I'm embarrassed to do something they don't want me to do. There's a lower level of punishment, of fear. I'm afraid of getting punished. It says in the Torah, you eat treif, you can get lashes. I don't want to get lashes. So it doesn't pay for me to eat treif. In the olden times, it didn't pay to sin, by the way. You know, if a guy was warned right before eating by two witnesses, and they said, don't eat it, it's treif, and if you eat it, you're going to get lashes. And the guy ate it, he got lashes. Not like they do Erev Yom Kippur, the lashes. Doctors have to evaluate how much you're able to handle. Remember in Singapore many years ago, a number of years ago, they were giving lashes to 5 lashes to a kid. The whole world was in a commotion. You know what? It doesn't pay to eat an ounce of a cheeseburger and get 39 lashes. It just doesn't pay. So people sin less. But that's a level of sin, which is a very low level of fear. I'm afraid of punishment. It's not because I don't want to do something Hashem wants me to do, or even higher yet, I'm embarrassed. I just don't want to go against Hashem. So the Alter Rebbe says all these levels of fear are fear. Even if he's doing it on the lowest possible, he has no feeling of awe and fear. He's doing it because he doesn't, Hashem's watching him. He says, now on top of the page, 212, I will believe a cloud, but if a person doesn't have any fear, not even the fear of God watching me, he doesn't eat chazer because he was brought up not to eat chazer. It's not fear of God. He's not doing it because of Hashem. He doesn't eat it because his parents told him you don't eat it. It does not fly up with love itself. You must have yirah. Just like a bird, you just like a bird cannot fly with one wing. The same thing, a person cannot fly up in Avodas Hashem without just with love. And he brings down over a very interesting thing. In the lessons of Tanya, he brings down there's a medrash. Here the Alter Rebbe says a bird cannot fly with one wing. So the Rebbe brings down, there's a medrash that says like this, places brings it down. It says over there when the dove is tired, it flies with one wing, which contradicts this whole concept that a bird cannot fly with 2 wings. Over there, the medrash says when a dove gets tired, he only flies with 1 wing. So the Rebbe writes like this, there's no contradiction because the medrash concludes with the words, it flies with 1 and rests with 1. So in other words, the bird possesses both wings, but he's not using 1, it's just floating. Here the Alter Rebbe says, if you don't have yirah, you don't even have the wing. That's what the Alter Rebbe is saying. Here the Alter Rebbe is saying that if a person doesn't have fear at all, which is the wing, it's not like the dove that can fly with 1 wing and the other wing just coasting along. But over there he has both wings. And the second wing is helping him stay up. Here the Alter Rebbe says, without fear at all, there's no way you can fly up. And then he quotes the Medrash says, the commentary says, although the dove is mostly flying with one wing, it also makes use of minimal use of the second wing as well. So therefore, even a dove must have both wings to fly. But it's interesting. Here the Alter Rebbe is speaking, what happens if somebody has no fear of Hashem at all? Not even the minimal fear. Then the bird can't fly. Just with love is not going to do it. The same thing if you only have fear, no love, and the neshama is not going to fly, and the mitzvah is not going to fly up. You must have Ava and Yira. But again, going back to a few chapters in Tanya, first Alter Rebbe explains in this world, action was what counts. If you have love and fear, but you don't do the mitzvah, you didn't get the mitzvah. You do the mitzvah without love and fear, you did the mitzvah. You have the body of the bird, but you don't have the wings. But like we learned, you clip the wings, the Gemara says, Shulchan Aruch says, the bird's still a kosher bird. It's not a blemished bird. It can't fly up. Then the Alter Rebbe was elaborating, you need love and you need fear and you need both wings. Then the bird is able to fly up. Okay, we're going to leave it here. Mitzvah Shem, everybody have a great Shabbos. Monday in Mitzvah Shem, 8:30 is Parsha. All the best. Have a great week.